Good morning, everyone. Good morning, everyone. It's a great privilege to be here during the ninth edition of the Teachers with Purpose Conference 2024. A big thank you to my mama, Mrs. Ayoyin Kawari, for the privilege given to me to be part of this, and also want to appreciate my guest, my boss, my leader, Mr. Emmanuel Pata, one of the guest speakers, and also Dr. Dami. You all have been a great inspiration to me as a teacher and as an individual. Thank you so much for all you do in the educational space. And to everyone here this morning, thank you for coming. And I believe that you're not going to go home without learning something, without being inspired, without having a growth mindset that is going to help you in your teaching profession. So the theme for this year is reimagining the future of education for teachers. So what does it mean to reimagine the future of education for educators? And what that has to do is that becoming aware of the future, becoming aware of the future starting from today. So it's not just about being aware of the future, taking plans to ensure that the future is not, we're not just waiting for the future to happen, but we are taking drastic plans today to ensure that we walk into the future boldly, we walk into the future fully prepared and fully armed to face the future when it actually comes. The future is not something that will just come. It's every day, when everything we do every day actually points us to the future that we are actually inspiring for, the future that we are waiting for. So we don't just sit back and wait for the future to come. We prepare intentionally for the future. And one of the things we can do to prepare for the future is by attending conferences like this. Thank you very much, Matt, for organizing this conference for teachers. Now I'm going to be speaking to us on the features of interactivity in learning and teaching. The features of interactivity in learning and teaching. So I am teacher Funke or Mrs. Akpan. I'm a trailblazing educator and the founder of Top Finance Academy, dedicated to advancing 21st century teaching and learning. So features of interactivity in learning and teaching. Interactive teaching and learning encompasses various strategies and techniques that are designed to actively engage students in the educational process. Learning will not take place in the class if the participants are not engaged. If the learners are not properly engaged, learning is not going to take place. So for learning to take place in that class, so we need to have at the section, we need to have lesson that is interactive, lessons that are engaging, lessons where everyone is learning, where no one is left behind. So in this age and era, we can use different methods to engage our learners, some of which are gamification, the use of games, flipped learning, the use of videos in the classroom where the student gets to listen to the video, they then come to the class the next time to tell the teachers and everyone of what they've learned from the video, which gives room for student talking time rather than the teacher talking time. And we have the connection-based learning where students from different parts of the world are learning a concept at the same time. And then we have the immersive learning, the use of virtual reality and augmented reality in the classroom. And we have the AI-based learning, the use of artificial intelligence to learn and to teach. Then we have the brain-based learning, problem-based learning, the project-based learning, inquiry-based learning. These are just few of the numerous teaching methods in the 21st century. So we can't talk about interactivity in the classroom without mentioning learning styles and learning preferences. So what are learning styles? I believe that these are not new topics. You must have heard of learning styles and learning preferences, but the question is, how well do we make use of the information that we have when it comes to learning styles and learning preferences? So learning styles refer to the consistent way in which an individual approaches learning based on their cognitive, emotional, and environmental preferences. The child in our classrooms are not just one-sided, they are holistic, they have different learning domains. Okay, so learning style, that is that particular, I won't just say particular way, but a consistent way in which a child learns. Okay, and then we have the learning preferences, which have to do with the ways in which learners choose or prefer to learn in a given situation. They can change depending on the context, the subject matter, or the mood. So learning preferences can be likened to having different subjects, different topics. Now, different subjects and different topics cannot be taught using the same method. You cannot use, for instance, in the mathematics class where you're learning how to add sums together. So you can basically use let's say you can use audio all through the class. It's not going to be effective. So let's talk about the different learning styles we have. We have what we call VAC. We have VAC that has to be the visual learners, those who learn when they see things, when they look at pictures, images, charts, and the likes. And then we have the auditory learners who learn best when they hear, when they listen to things, when they listen to conversations. And then we have the read and write learner. They love to copy notes. They copy notes in few minutes. You see them, they love to read. They can read a chapter, they can read a big book in a day or two. And then we have the kinesthetic learners who love to walk. They love to do things that requires hands-on activities. So those are the different learning styles that we have, even though along the line we've had more other ones added, like the social learners and the like. So learning preferences. So a child can choose to be a kinesthetic learner depending on the context, depending on the subject at hand. Take for instance, it is a mathematics class where calculations needs to be made. So in that particular class, most of the learners there will choose or prefer to learn by saying things and then by experimenting with those things. For example, we're talking about word problems, which has to do with you going to the market and buying 10 oranges, 5 apples, 12 pineapples. So those children would like to see something that they can relate with, and the same time something that will help them to achieve the learning outcome, which might have to be the teachers bringing in some blocks, some objects, could be real life objects of those apples, of those fruit that the children can count and then record their answers. So any preference can also be in the case of an art class, where you have mostly in an art class, you're going to be using learning styles such as visual or kinesthetic way to the learning style that we can use in an art class is visual or kinesthetic style, which has to do with the child looking at the teacher drawing the object, or also watching a video where an object is being drawn, and at the same time also the child also having to use his hands, his senses to draw the image, to paint, and the likes. So like I mentioned, there are various methods that we can use to really to have an engaging lesson, but I'm going to be focusing on just 2 of them. Okay, so I believe that either of these 2 is going to be very, very effective in the classroom, because the first one, which is project-based learning, is encompassing. You can't use project-based learning without having to infuse at least 5 or 6 teaching method that I have mentioned earlier. So what is project-based learning? It is an instructional approach where students engage in exploring real-world problems and challenges over an extended period of time. Now, this method encourages active learning, critical thinking, collaboration, and communication as students work on projects that have real-world relevance and application. Now, in the 21st century, it's an age that is beyond just acquiring of knowledge. It's an era where student needs to be an era where students need to have skills. Yes, the 21st century skills, where they have to be conversant with the skills such as the communication skills, collaboration, team building, empathy, and the like. So in 21st century, it's a skill-based era. It's a skill-based era, not just a knowledge acquisition era, a skill-based era. So what method can help us to imbibe the needed skills in our learners? And this is project-based learning. So it goes beyond just having a method in the classroom. In project-based learning, children are exploring real-life problems. Don't forget that in 21st century, we need more of problem solvers. We need more problem solvers, and then we need people that can help solve problems that are facing the world today. And that is where the case of sustainable education comes in, the use of the 17 global goals that United Nations came up with. So what are the key features of project-based learning? Number one, you must have a driving question. It is from that driving question that they are able to come up with a solution that is the end point, the end result of the project. And then in project-based learning, it is student-centered. They're going to be learning based on their own preference, based on the way they want to learn. It is not centered around how the teacher feels he or she should teach, but it's personalized learning, okay? It caters for the different learning styles in our classroom. The student-based centered. Don't forget I mentioned that you can use different method in project-based learning. And then it is inquiry-based, which means that it entails the children asking questions, lots and lots of questions. Don't forget that anybody who asks questions will never be misled. So it entails inquiry-based, asking so many questions so that they can get to the end result of that project. And then entails also collaboration. They don't work alone. They work alongside their classmates. And then also, they could also work alongside some other students in some other part of the world, and also brings about real-world connection. Whatever they are working with, whatever they are working on, they're able to relate it with the environment, with the things happening in the world. And at some point also, they can choose to go on field trip. They can also invite a guest speaker into the classroom, which makes it very, very realistic. And then they have, at the end of the project, they have an authentic assessment by the teacher. So this authentic assessment by the teacher is able to arrive at this based on the method that he or she used, based on how they're able to make research, how they're able to provide solutions to problems that they were faced with, and the likes. Then what are the benefits of project-based learning? It develops critical thinking and problem-solving skills. Enough of having graduates who are not able to solve any problem in the world today. So when we use project-based learning in our classroom, it helps our children to be problem solvers, and it develops critical thinking. Like somebody said that common sense is not common. Even in our days, it's not common sense, not something that is common. So we need learners that are able to think outside the box anywhere they find themselves, learners that don't really need to start crying, or probably when they see a challenge, they are able to think critically and ensure that a solution is being made. And then it enhances student engagement and motivation. So in project-based learning, everybody is working, everybody is looking for a solution to the problem at hand. Everyone is doing one thing or the other. And then also it provides opportunities for practical application of knowledge. What is knowledge without practical applications? In PBL, it allows them to practice the things they're learning, allow them to practice the knowledge that they are acquiring. And then it fosters creativity and innovation. Creativity rules the world today. And this is one of the methods that will help us to raise learners who are creative, who are innovative, who are able to communicate without any fear, without shaking, without jittering. Then the next one is a station rotation. It is a blended learning model where students rotate through different learning stations or activities, typically within the same classroom. Each station focuses on a specific task or aspect of the lesson, allowing the student to engage with the materials in various ways. Now, in this class, for example, we have studied the part of speech now. So we can teach now in various ways. So in station rotation, a particular topic is introduced, but they won't be learning this topic using one method. They're going to be engaging with this topic using different ways and different methods. So what are different methods that they can use? One, the features of station rotation is that it involves multiple stations. This is not all. You could have more to this. So you can have a station whereby you have the teacher-led station, the collaborative station, the independent station, and then so what are the key features of station rotation? It involves having multiple stations, rotation schedules, differentiation, and then variety of learning modality. So multiple station, you could have either you could have this or more. One, we have the teacher-led station. So imagine yourself having a class, a topic to teach, and then you group your learners into, let's say, a group of 4. So for that period of, let's say, 40 minutes, they are going to be, each of them is going to experience, the content, the topic in 4 different ways. For instance, the teacher-led station. So that's like grouping the children into 4, where the teacher is the one leading, asking questions to elicit information from the learners. And then the collaborative section where the children have to work in groups. And then the independent station where the child has to read up on the knowledge about that particular topic. And pardon me, the last one is the digital station, where the child has to watch a video, has to make use of a software in the classroom. Now the rotation schedules. So let's assume your class is a 40-minute section. So you're not going to use the whole 40 minutes for the station rotation. Let's assume we're going to use 30 minutes. So now we have 4 different stations in the class. So what that means is that we're going to have 4 different stations and then 4 different sections. So for the first section, which is going to be around 7 minutes for each of them. So for the first 7 minutes, everybody's going to be in a group of 4 exploring. We are going to be having each child explores. In the first section, let's say child A explores teacher-led station. The second section, child A goes to the collaborative station. Third section, child A goes to independent station. And the last one, which is digital station, child A goes to digital station. So it has to do with ensuring that each child goes through different learning models. Okay, and then we have differentiation, which has to do with meeting the diverse needs and learning levels of students. So in this method, it allows us to meet their needs, their diverse needs. It allows us to teach them using the different learning styles. So because not the learning styles, some people have multiple learning styles. They learn in the different ways. They learn using 1 or 2 of learning styles. So using this station rotation helps us to meet them at that point. And then also we are able to know where they are, their level of learning at that point, and also we are able to help them to move to a higher learning level. And the last is the variety of learning modalities. So like I've mentioned, there'll be discussion, there'll be collaboration, there'll be the use of technology in the classroom. Even the child also gets to read and learn on his or her own. Then we have the peer learning also involved in this. So one of the benefits of station rotation, number one, is that it increases student engagement by providing a variety of learning activities. They are not stationed in a place. They are doing different things at different times. And then it gives room for differentiated instruction and personalized learning. They are learning at their own pace. They are learning in ways that they love to. And it encourages active learning and reduces passive listening. Everybody is learning. You are not just sitting down. You are either watching a video, or you are in a group discussing, or you are listening to something, or probably you are answering some teacher-led questions. And then also it facilitates classroom management by breaking up the class into smaller, more manageable groups. In some classroom where you have a larger number, where being able to manage a classroom could be a challenge. So having station rotation means that you're going to be having fewer people to manage at one point or the other. So project-based learning, station rotation are very good method that we can embrace in this era and time. They are going to help us to engage our learners. There is no time for passive listening or passive learning. Is going to help them all to be engaged at the same time. And then also in either in using any of these methods, we are preparing them for the future, because in project-based learning, we have the aspect of communication. Because when you are in a group, you're not just working together in a group, you're also going to need to express yourself, which is one of the skills that is lacking in the world, the communication and the ability to work together as a team. So in PBL, in station rotation, they are working together as a team. There is team building. There is no place for isolation. Everybody is working together, and then working together, there'll be the place where you need empathy. You put perspective taking, you put yourself in the other person's shoes when you need to make decision as a team. So I believe that with these two methods, we are going to have a very interactive class. Henceforth, thank you very much for listening. I am Teacher Funke, and thank you, Mrs. O'Reilly. I'm very glad for this opportunity.